Welcome back. We are going to complete the rest of the training session, and we are focusing now on debt management. And as you can also see in the training, there is advanced training specifically also available for this, for our credit control specifically. So if you are in need for that, please let your FCL know, and we can schedule advanced training in the future for this specific subject. Now, debt management is now everything. We come to the point of we have started the process with our appointments. We looked at everything that was booked. The patient arrived. We loaded his file into the system by importing it from the medical aids and updated his information, documented his clinical allergies and chronic conditions and medication, and loaded his clinical notes, uploaded any of his scans, x-rays, or any other referral letters from doctors. We did a billing for our consumables. If we are dispensing, we use combinations. We looked at credit notes in our redo function. We looked at our claim administration in our GoodX MedEps program under the EDI GoodX Switch claim history, where we will reverse our claims, redo our claims, resubmit our claims, and then finally resolve our claims. Now the claims went through to the medical aid. We looked at our patient receipts, if they pay, if the medical aid rejected the claim directly or partially, or any of those scenarios. And when the patient gets back to reception, we take the money for the short payments or the outstanding amounts by doing a patient receipt from the diary. And then we looked also at the manual remittances, where we looked at the medical aid remittance that we capture with the medical aid receipt by putting in the 10,000 in total and loading 5 patients. That makes up that 10,000. And then also shift the amounts to the patient, load the reasons why the medical aid did not pay, and even do write-offs in that receipt function. So now we also looked at our receipt reversal, where you say receipt written back. And remember, no journals are used to fix invoices. No journals are used to fix receipts. If you do an invoice, you must do a credit note. If you do a receipt, you must do a receipt written back. Also the same principle, there's a refund function for where the patient overpaid and the medical aid. You can refund your patient, and then there's also a check or refund reversal if you need to fix that. So now we're going to look at the 2 last phases. Here's my debt management and my reports. So debt management is typically also called credit control, or what we call our credit control or credit control assistant function that can assist you with this. For that, it's additional advanced training. This is not covered in this session. So if you need more information on that, please let us know, and your FCL will give you more information on the credit control assistant. But I will give you half an indication on what it's about and just give you an idea how to use it. So debt management is what's now to the point where the account must be 0. We've done everything now up to this point to get a claim to the medical aid. We fixed it by doing redos, or we resubmitted it back to the medical aids. We even did paper claims even. The medical aid paid, a short paid. Now the patient is liable. Now we need to inform the patient that he owes us. So the debt management focus a lot on the communication with the patient. So it's from my notes, my SMSs, my emails, my statements, making sure that the patient is informed, that he knows what he owes you, and that he pays as soon as he can. So this is why we're going to look at the journals. We're going to look at our SMSs and emails and the history of that. We're going to look at the notebook functions and the tasks. And then we're going to end off with the CCA function, or the credit control assistant. And then I'm going to end with the final session on the sense of the age analysis and the data drill down, as the 2 basic reports that must be printed with every month end. And at the bottom of this training manual is our internal controls. Here we explain what must be happening on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis, and a yearly basis. And also for this, in the future, you should be able to book advanced training for this as well. So let's look at this process. I usually start with the account inquiries. So of course, this is where we need to focus. So from here, I go to MedEps or from the diary, it doesn't matter. If I work from the diary, I go into the accounts. So if I stand on the patient's file and I go into the account inquiries, Please make sure you understand what you can do here about the redo, the resubmissions, and the EDI responses. And also the important thing is here to be able to access your notes. We've got a message book and a notebook. The notebook is all communication with your patient. And it's all communication with the medical aid. Any arrangements that was made, any references must be on this notebook. Because if I open up this notebook, there must be a reason why the patient is still outstanding, and everything must be on this notebook. So the doctor, any admin people, reception can quickly open up the notes, and the notes I can access from so many places, from the diary, if I'm standing on a booking, on Dr. GP, and I stand on anyone, I can right click and I can go directly to the notebook. If I'm in my MEDEPS and I'm an admittance and I right click, I can go to my notebook. If I'm in the accounts, I can go to my notebook. So the notebook you can almost access from most functions out of the system. So please make sure that your notes are locked at all possible times. Then from this notebook, we can email a plain email to my patient or the member without any attachment, and also send out any SMSs that's set up in our templates. So once you've set up those templates, you will be able to send free text SMSs or any SMSs that will populate the name, the surname, reference numbers, banking details, or even outstanding amounts on 30, 60, 90 days that can automatically populate it and send it to your patient. But you still must click on these buttons in order to access those functionalities. So anytime you do an email, anytime you send an SMS, there's also correspondence history here at the top of your notebook. So here I can see what SMS I sent to my patient, and I can even see the replies that comes back if the patient replies on that SMS. So from a booking point of view, that's very important to check those replies, and also from a credit control point of view, it's also very important to check those replies, because if a patient replied on an outstanding SMS that he will pay you tomorrow, he acknowledged his debt, and that can be taken further according to the Credit Act. So please make sure that you know how to access that. Also, from your MEDEPS under batch transactions, you can view all the SMSs and emails you've submitted from the beginning up till now. So here I can view all my SMSs that was submitted out of the system and see all the replies that came back from all those SMSs. Also, you can see all your emails that went out, and you can even see what emails failed, so you can quickly give attention to that. And also view any attachment that was part, and that's only your statements currently, that's part of your attachment that went out to the patient. Obviously, replies on email addresses will come back to your Gmail address or your Outlook as normal. The reply will not come back into the GoodX system. So your notebook are very important. Please make sure you understand how to access your notebook. Right click, go to your notebook, fill in your notes as necessary. Just type in there. It will show the date and the user and the time this was done. Click on exit and save, and it will save that note. Click on Control N again to view your notes again, and you will see anytime new notes that was added to this. Send SMSs from here, send your emails from here, and then look at your history from here as well. So this is also the notes that will go to your attorneys or the debt collectors as soon as you hand over this patient. So please make sure all notes are captured. There's also a message book, but that's only to print a message that's unique for this patient under statement. So this will stay under statement until you remove that message. So that's very handy to just give a unique message to the patient on his statement. So that's my notes. And there's also SMSs. So remember, a lot of places you can, on the diary, you can right click and just send an SMS. From the diary, you can also send an SMS here from the right hand side on the sidebar, SMS, or right click on it and say SMS from there or email from there. So at any time you can send SMSs from the diary, and remember that batch transaction under your multi-SMS emails, you can send your reminder SMSs, your birthday SMSs as well, and then under MEDEPS you will go to batch transactions to view all your SMS history that went out of the system, also your email history as well. So if you look at that, then you can see here SMS templates. So that's my SMS history, and now my entities and my notebook. So on your SMS templates, please, you're more than welcome to look at a template that's loaded here. You can also just ask for assistance from your FCL. To load those templates, you need to go to your manage. From here, if you open up your manage, GoodX manage module, you can go to global lists, and then you will see email templates and SMS templates. Once you open that up, you will click on new, and then you will need to specify a name for this template, and then you will say where it must be shown. Is it your birthday? Is it on a note? Is it on the diary? Is it on your age analysis? And so is it part of your credit control? Is it part of your statements? So give it a name, select a category, put in your message, and here you can load your macros. If I, for instance, put in notebook, language is English, you will see your macros. This is all the fields that can be populated by GoodX. What's the current balance, the outstanding balance, 50 days, 60 days, 90 days, dates and times. And you can generate your templates from here. On our Learning Center, there is a list in where you can see the different templates that you can load yourself. Or just contact your FCL and ask them to assist you to load these templates. Same with the email as well, global list, email template, same principle. Set up your template and link it to your statement, so even when you mail out your statements, it's also linked in auto templates that will populate information for you. Once you set up all that information, then your SMSs and emails will go out with that easy templates. And you can also set up templates for free text if that is needed. So from here, we've looked now at the notebook. Very important at notes. Make your notes, please, on your patients. Any communication with a patient, any communication with any medical aid. So now I'm going to look at the journals. How do I do journals in GoodX? So why, and the whole day you heard me talk about journals, is only for bad debt, discounts, write-offs, or handovers. So how do I do that journal? And the best way is also from your accounts or from the MedDeps. So from MedDeps also there's transactions, and there's my debtors journal. So you can access it here, but the one that will be accessed the most for our users will be the debtor journal actions, as we call it. This is the one that you will be using. And also the best way to use this is obviously directly from the account, because you're currently working on it. The patient short paid, and I want to write off something in that sense. So if I go into my admittance as an example, let's look if there's something that I can do a write off on that's got a small days of 2.59, for instance. That's outstanding. If I go into the account of this patient, there's a lot of accounts here, and an easy way is to put this tick on it. Says exclude documents with a zero balance. So what is outstanding is the 2.59. So how do I write off that 2.59? Very easy. I just right click on it and I say debtor journal action. I select it. I put in today's date. My description, I can put in my own text, or I can just say bad debt, small amount, settlement discount, depending on what the reason for it must be. I select it. The system will open up here a medical aid column and a patient column. It will show you its current balance is 2.59. What is the patient amount I do want to write off, and what is the new balance? So this is the place in GoodX where I put in a minus in front of the amount for the first time, and I put in 2.59 minus because it's a positive amount. My new balance will show 0. So the moment I click now on post, period, and say close. Now if I look at that journal, it will now show me a journal, invoice, there it is, invoice, journal, for instance, that's a medical aid journal, there's a medical aid journal, 300 Rand, where's my 2 Rand journal, 2.59, let's just try again, the journal action, bad date, no record found, okay, let me just refresh my screen, I'm just going to press F5. Let's try again. There it is. Here is my 2.59 still outstanding, and now there's a patient journal bad debt minus 2.59. So that shows me now that I've done my journal and I've done a written off of that small amount, or even if you do handovers, you will use the same principle. If there's journal actions that you require with additional tests, please ask your FCL also to load that for you, and or ask them to assist you in loading that with your first journals. So that's the best way of doing a journal. You go into your account inquiries, search the amount that is still outstanding, right click and do a debtor journal action. Go to the medical or patient side and put in a minus in front of the amount to make sure the total balance is 0, and then you will click on post to generate that journal. Okay, so that is my journals, and like I said before, you will only do the journals when you've allocated now your patient receipt, you've allocated your medical aid receipt, there's a short payment, you've sent SMSs and emails to your patient with statements, and the patient is not paying that. So now you decide what to do with that small amount, and that's when you will use a journal to write it off, or you will hand over the patient. For instance, if that's 15,000 that's never been paid, I'm going to hand over that patient, and that's when I will use a journal for that 15,000. Please also, you will see here, there is colors here as well. That's what we call a debtor status. The debtor status goes along with the debt management in the end of the day. It comes with credit control, bad payer. You set up this by right-clicking on this admittance screen, and you will see a status. And here you can set up bad payer, hand it over, ITC, and you can assign a specific status to this file. And we can print now a H analysis only for this status, or print an H analysis without that status. So this works very well for my handovers, my ITCs, my bad payers in that sense, or my payment arrangement patients. So you want to separate them from the others out of the system by printing specific reports with or without that status. Also, that status can be set up on the lists under debtor status. Okay, so that is more or less in a nutshell all the functionality. So please make sure you understand what is debt. I must get my account to 0. How do I get it to 0? I must let my patient know what is outstanding. How do I do that? SMSs, emails. So from my notebook, it's the typical first place I start this process. Go into the notebook, and then you will send emails and you will send statements. Also go into the account or stand under account and send out statements. You can mail it directly, or you can go into the normal statement functions and email it to the member, to the patient, or to the medical aid or someone else. And also you can do a payment, a email statement run, where we can send out statements via email for all your outstanding amounts bigger than 100 Rand. Please make sure from your FCL how to access that as well. It is set up on your current system. You can do that. So also now I know that I've spoken to my patient on the notebook. I've made all my notes, and the patient said that I must phone him tomorrow at 3 o'clock. How do I keep a reminder for myself? And this is where we get to those tasks. By working with the task list, it's sort of setting up for yourself tasks of things you need to do. It's not an auto reminder function. It will not pop up every day. It will not give you sirens or sounds or colors. It will just simply show every morning when you log in. It will show you your tasks. It's your task list. You set it up for yourself. You can give your own yourself task, or you can give tasks to someone else in your practice. And this is where you can manage what must happen when it must happen. So you generate a new task, you assign it to I'm responsible for that myself, and it's due by Friday, and here you put in phone patient by 3. So you put in your notes, you assign it, and it's linked to that patient because it's already on that notebook. You save it, so every morning when you log in, for the next few days, you will see this task list, and there you can see phone patient by 3 o'clock, and it's due by the 10th. The moment you get to that day, then you will go into that, and you will complete it, and you will say patient phone. You cannot delete it, you can only mark it as completed, and that way you can keep track of any task that you have given to someone else or task that was delegated to you as a user in the system. So use your tasks, and you can always see tasks I've delegated and all my tasks up till to now that has either been completed or still outstanding. So this is a very handy tool to get away with those papers and sticky notes, so that you can see what you need to do and when you need to do it. So that's a very handy tool in the debt collection process, or the CCA functions. Task list. Okay, now what's remaining here is currently the CCA, so I'm just going to talk about the credit control assistant and using the credit control assistant. If you want more details on that, please let us know. We give additional training on this. We do not cover it in this session. What it comes to is we set up the CCA function, and it must be enabled in the system, and we usually talk about a collection cycle, a patient collection cycle, a medical aid collection cycle, or a WCA collection cycle, even PMB, depending on how you work in your practice. And what this entitles, or what this means at the end of the day, you set up a process that says it will take me 90 days to hand over a medical aid patient. On day 0, we submit the claim. On day 10, we must send out a statement or SMS. On day 20, we must follow up again. On day 30, we will send a final reminder. On day 40, we will send a final demand. On day 50, we will notify the patient he will be handed over, and then on day 60, we'll get a final notification. On day 90, will be handed over. So you decide how many steps will be in this process, and you decide what the time frame will be from the next step to the next step to the next step. It's a very handy function to manage all your outstanding invoices on the system. And if you use the CCA function, a nice tool that goes along with this also this invoices outstanding report. And this way you keep control of your outstanding debt at all times. So the CCA function is a very handy tool. It works literally on a day structure, how many days has passed, so you can react to that. So every day you can generate a list to tell you how many patients is currently on step number 4, and it will show you then what you need to do with those patients. Once you're done with those patients, we'll mark them to move over to step number 5. Very handy tool to look into at the end of the day. Okay, so now we've looked at our notes, we looked at our tasks, we looked at our SMSs, we looked at our emails. Remember, you can do a statement run or just send normal statements to our patients. You can do this from a diary. And a diary is actually a very nice place in doing this by just saying email statement, sending SMSs, and then look at your med debt for all your history on those SMSs or emails. So please look at your feedbacks, the replies that comes in from the SMSs. Do not miss them, because patients can make arrangements there and also cancel appointments. So please make sure you look at your SMS history under the batch transactions. Okay, so that is what we call the debt management. The idea is here to make sure that you understand that, okay, I've submitted my claim to medical aid. There was rejection. Patient paid was short paid. The medical aid we waited for payment. They made payment. Again, it was short paid. I send out SMSs and statements and emails to my patient. I follow this up via my notebook. I log tasks for myself to make sure I do contact my patients. And then eventually I get to the point where either they pay or not. And when I do not pay, I will use my journals to hand it over or write it off. Okay, and then I generate my age analysis and my Drilldown report every month for reporting purposes for the doctor, for the practice, and also for the auditors. So at month end, I must generate those basic reports. So on your diary, there is obviously also reports that you can access. So please look through that report, see if there's anything that you would like to go more in detail, and contact your FCL, or look at the default or the more detailed training manual under Learning Center. The day's list of invoices, a very handy report to generate, and the diary stats. Then from my MEDEPS, you will go to print, and the 2 reports that you must generate every month is your age analysis and your drill down report, and we're looking specifically for the movement summary. So this drill down transactions report daybook is a one function, it's a one report tool where there's almost 9 to 11 different reports by default under that specific function. One of them is obviously your Audit Trails, so that's your detailed ledgers for your auditors of all your transactions that you've built, all the codes, all the ISC10s, all the patients, all the dates, all the amounts. But also the movement summary you will get here that you must generate for the auditors and the doctor. So how do I generate that report? You will go to Data Transaction Drilldown. There will be reports set up for you, for instance, that month end, but you can always set up your own reports, or you can always just edit that blank report to set up a new report from scratch. So I'm going to show it to you via this edit function, because it's easy to just print a report, but you must understand what is important on your reports. So when I go to my blank, I'm going to say edit. First thing is the year. Please make sure the year is correct. 2020, it's the current financial year. So it means it starts at the 1st of March 2019 and it ends in February 2020. So that's why we talk about a 2020 book year. Please make sure that when you print your reports, your year is correct. And this is where we decide how you print your reports, by capture date, by transaction date, or all dates. And typically your movement summary and age analysis should always be generated on all dates per period. If you do work with transaction dates and capture date, please be aware it will never balance back to periods, because transaction dates will be different from capture dates. It will never be balancing. So please make sure that if you start printing reports for your doctors on transaction date, then you keep on transaction date. But we obviously suggest you work only on period per month basis. So please make sure your year is correct. Select your periods in the sense of May for May, and this is what I'm going to print. I'm just going to make it a bit larger from March to May. All dates, give me my turnover, so that's all my billing of my credit notes. Give me my cash book, so that's all my receipts, all my refunds, and all my corrections on my receipts and my refunds. Give me my journal, so that's my bad debt, my handed overs, and then any stock journals. Here you can decide how to sort your reports, how to group them, as we call it, per treating doctor. So if there's 4 doctors in the practice, it's very nice you can learn per medical aid, per service center if you work in different areas. So please understand, when you tick this, the system will sort it or group it in that specific option. So this is where I do select my per treating doctor. I also select grouping, so I can select a doctor out of the list. If I say all grouping, it will print all the doctors in that list. So always a grouping value should always be as per transaction level. We capture every time you bill something GoodX, we capture the doctor, we capture the date, we capture the service center, the amount. So you should always group your reports per transaction date, and you can also filter it per doctor. Automatic drill down should be on. Display VAT per journal should be on. A journal actions breakdown should also be on. And here you can also tell GoodX to only show you your procedures or consultations, or only the medicines, depending on how you want to see your reports. This is a typical setup. The important thing here is just to make sure that I print it according to the correct months that I want to generate my totals for. So once that is selected, I can go to next, confirm the month, say next again, and the system will generate within a few minutes all the transactions for this week, for this month, typically for the month. So this report you should generate every month after month end. And then you will focus on movement summary, and you will see here's different reports here, and that's why I said about 9 reports to 11 will be here that you can access. There's my ledger, there's my audit trail, that's my detail, all my receipts and journals and invoicing and corrections. And then I have my audit trail invoice details, and this is the actual coding where I can see the ICD-10 codes and the codes and the items I've billed on every patient with their corrections. And then I've got my invoices summary codes. You're more than welcome to look for all this, but the one I want to focus on is the movement summary. This shows you the turnover with the opening balance of the previous data control of the previous month. It shows you the turnover, so what the doctor billed in this month and what was all my credit notes for the same time frame, 13,000. Then I can see my cash flow, check wise, credit card wise, cash wise, EFT wise, how much money that come in the same period, and I can see how many journals I've done to write off my small balance or handovers. So my turnover is very important for doctor to see, because we want to see how much VAT we are going to pay, and also I want to see how much cash do I get in to see if my cash flow is actually going well. And the auditors want to see this report, because I also check to see how many patients do you write off, because that's the money you're willingly losing. And that's why you must do journals for bad debt, discounts, write-offs. And this report should always balance back to the age analysis, and that's why it should show a right mark, because that's my age analysis total. And this movement summary should always balance back to the age analysis. If not, if it's a red X here, please contact your FCL immediately so that can be corrected. So now I print this, or I can mail it to my auditors. I can export it. And remember, every report in GoodX can be exported most probably and can be printed. You can also email it directly to an email address. Please make sure that that is set up from your FCL side. So that's my movement summary. How do I get to that movement summary? If it's set up here for month end, then you can just click on print and select the right month. If you go the manual way, select a blank, edit that report, select your month, go to next, and go to next, and go to your movement summary. And that's why your report dates are very important, to make sure that you see all the information correctly. And that's why when you generate this report after month end, this is the final report that goes to your doctor, this is the final report that goes to your auditors, because this is your income for that period. And that will be generated according to those amounts and will so be paid over to SARS. So that's my movement summary. Please make sure you can print this report every month. Then we go to our last report, and that's under print. Age analysis, same principle here. There will be different age analysis set up, one for medical aid outstanding, one for patient outstanding, only the total outstanding, and then all outstanding files will show with the total age analysis. So that's the one that you should print also every month. If you do use credit control, those two will work really nice for your follow-up on your patients and the medical aids. But the total age analysis must be generated every month with the movement summary. And a total age analysis will show you all your outstanding amounts and also all your credits, because you need to make sure, why do you owe patients money? So if a patient paid more than they should, or the medical aid double paid, you need to be aware of those credits. So you must always print a month-end age analysis not equal to 0. So if I do this manually again, I'm going to stand on that blank, I'm going to say edit. Again, my year is very important. I'm now printing up till the end of March. I want to see all the possible transactions, but I would like now to see this per medical aid. So I will select my per medical aid option. And here's also my debtor status, where you mark them as ITC or payment arrangements, so you can quickly exclude or include those guys into this age analysis. Print for me all outstanding detail, total or medical aid or patient. So here I can decide what to see additionally, but that's a typical total that includes medical aid and patient. Do I want to see my last payment date, and then I want to see my last note entry as well? And then I can say specific ages. So here I can set up the age to print 30 days outstanding, 60 days outstanding, or 120 days plus, or 90 days plus. And also I will typically print a full age analysis with all ages, but specific amount not equal to 0. And here I can just decide how the order will be for that report. Again, please make sure your year is correct. Do not print an age analysis for the 2019 book year. So look at this date and make sure that the dates are correct that you select with this age analysis. Now I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to say do not give me print not greater than 5, not equal to 0. So when you print an age analysis for the end of the month, it must always be not equal to 0 with the movement summary. And then I'm going to say next, and now I can see my medical aids, and I can now just drag that up to the top, and now it was sorted per medical aid, and then I can just say apply best fit, and now I can see, okay, beautiful. So my discovery is outstanding 140,000, and I can see when was the last note and when was the last payment. So I can immediately see, but this patient paid last year November the last time, but his account is in a credit, so we're not going to focus on that anyway, but the auditors need to see those credits. So my total aid is 379,642.17. That balances back to the movement summary. Again, you can export this into Excel if you want to use this for credit control purposes. You can print it and mail it. And very handy tool here is, if you generate an age analysis greater than 60 days, you can actually send out a bulk SMS to all these patients on this age analysis. This also helps to quickly get out SMSs, but again, make sure the amounts are correct on this age analysis before you send out SMSs. Claims must be up to date, your ERAs must be up to date, all your remittances, and then your accounts must be up to date. Then you can start sending SMSs for outstanding accounts. So those are the two major reports that you need to do for your month end. The first one is under print, and you will get that under your data transaction drill down. Generate a report for the month, and then go to your movement summary. Then that should balance back to your age analysis. Immediately print your age analysis, not equal to 0, the total age, and that should balance back to your movement summary. Those two reports goes to your doctor or to the owners of the practice, and it goes to the auditors. There is more reports here. You're more than welcome to look into this. Again, contact your FCL if there's any questions here on any other possible reports. There's much more reports in our financial report structures. You just need to let us know what you need, and we can show you any additional reporting. Please let us know if there's any other questions. Welcome to GoodX. Enjoy the system. Please make sure that you contact your FCL if there's any questions. Go to your learning center.goodx.co.za and look at the online manuals, and we hope to see you again very soon. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.